Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living your life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Well, let's get to it, my friends. Welcome to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone, and welcome to the 8th installment in this new series on understanding life a little more clearly through the duality of expansion and contraction. Hopefully, you're finding this helpful and that it's offering you a bit of clarity in how you look at your life. Through this, even if we are able to see our life just a bit more clearly, a bit more mindfully, we can take more control over the life and the experiences of our life in order to live a more fully engaged life. In this installment, I'd like to explore how expansion and contraction can offer all new insights into romantic relationships. Now, I mean romantic relationships here. Not those relationships with your friends or your family or your pets or whatever. I'm referring to a love relationship. Understanding romantic relationships through the idea of expansion and contraction offers us a much clearer picture for the nature of that type of relationship, if we're mindful enough to see it. And let's face it, all human beings desire some sort of romantic relationship. At least most of us do. It is at the very heart of our being. We desire to share our lives with someone we love. The idea of this particular episode is to help us understand through the sense of duality of expansion and contraction how we can better ascertain the quality of our relationship, whether that is a new relationship you're just entering into, a relationship you haven't even found yet, or an existing relationship you're already in. Now, ideally, this would help us long before we ever forge ahead mindlessly into a less than ideal situation for everyone involved. Because the truth of the matter is this: our romantic relationship is the very heart and soul of our life. If our relationship is great, then generally speaking, most other things in our life are going to be great as well. Just as if our relationship is unhealthy, then it is likely that the rest of our life is going to be in disorder and possibly disaster. This is an important factor in living a fully engaged life. We have to understand this. So we need this healthy, nurturing, loving relationship. If it isn't that, if your relationship is lacking those qualities, then you're not going to be able to live a fully engaged life. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, if you had enough mindfulness to enter into a romantic relationship with a sense of conscious awareness for the quality of the foundation of that relationship. Think about it for a moment. The tremendous potential that relationship could have and the incredible positive impact it would have on our life. So let's take a look then at how we could view a romantic relationship as either expansion or contraction. And if we are already in a relationship, some of this may be difficult to be honest with ourselves about, but this is the important thing. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to recognize this. And like I said, ideally, we could apply this prior to entering into a romantic relationship. Let's start with the idea of contraction first, so we can get that out of the way and get to the good stuff, right? So a relationship that is in a state of contraction. One of the easiest ways to tell this contraction-based relationship is that each person is essentially out for themselves. They're trying to get their own way, and in many cases, as we see today, they're actually living their own lives. They live together, but they still live separate lives. And one of the things that I see regarding this that is quite sad is that they have children, and the parents are living their own separate lives, and then you have these children in the middle of that. And this strange new family model that appears, some of it based upon both parents being forced to work in order to support the family, or simply choosing to enter into the relationship out of convenience, expectation, obligation, that sort of thing. However, children grow up in a more mentally and emotionally stable manner when they get to see their parents together, when they get to see them be loving between one another. And when this affection between parents is missing, then it leaves a void, an emotional void in the child. Things like this can then lead to a lack of development of empathy in our children. All right, so how do we know if we are entering a contraction-based relationship? How do we know if it's going to turn out that way? Well, there are some signs. These signs are actually reasons. The reason for us entering into the relationship, the serious romantic relationship to begin with. I mean, there's an entire list of wrong reasons, right? But let's look at a few. So we could understand that a wrong reason for entering into a romantic relationship is simply out of the fear of being alone. And you would be shocked if you understood just how many relationships were based on this alone. In terms of fear, it seems that the greatest human fear is the fear of death. Second to that is the fear of change. And either tied with that or the next one is being alone. Many people cannot stand the thought of being alone with themselves. This will surely result in a relationship that is in contraction. Another wrong reason is out of the need to have a distraction in your life. Again, you might be surprised at how many people enter into a relationship just so they have some sort of distraction, just so they have some sort of mental and emotional entertainment. And the most heartbreaking aspect to this is they have children for the same reasons. Now, I know this may be difficult to hear, but it's the truth. Think about it. Observe those around you, and you'll quickly see just how true this is. Another wrong reason to enter into a romantic relationship would be out of the belief that you can change that person to make them be the way you want them to be. That's just a recipe for disaster without any question. Another wrong reason is that you enter into that relationship out of a sense of convenience, obligation, or dependence upon someone else. If you enter into a relationship out of any of those type of reasons, some rationale you may have in your mind, or it may be in your subconscious mind, so you are completely unaware of it. But any of these reasons are going to result in a very unhappy, unhealthy relationship that will be in a state of contraction. For we cannot expect to be in a happy and harmonious relationship, a fulfilling relationship for both parties, when we enter into it, when either of us enter into it with a selfish agenda, or if we're not completely aware that that's why we're doing it in the first place. Feelings of being suffocated, trapped, smothered, tied down, disconnected, held back, distant, compromising, cold, are all signs of contraction within a relationship. not to mention more serious situations that can evolve, such as relationships that are toxic, abusive, dysfunctional, or otherwise unhealthy. It's easy to understand then how this is associated with contraction. Think about it if you are tied down, right? You feel bound. If you are suffocated, again, you've got that feeling of things closing in on you, that you just can't breathe. You feel trapped, the same thing. Smothered, same thing. See how all of these descriptors are actually describing the state of contraction that we are experiencing within that relationship. So be aware of your feelings as well as those of your partner, and make sure that you do not feel any of those contraction-based emotions regarding your relationship. So then what about a relationship that is expansive? How do we know if our relationship has a quality of expansion? There are so many ways. But one thing we can understand is this. We took a look at a number of wrong reasons to enter into a relationship, and there are so many more. Let's look at the right reasons to enter into a relationship. It's a short list. There's only one reason. That is true love. It's that simple. We no longer live in a time where we have to have prearranged marriages or become married to keep the peace between these boundaries and those boundaries. We live in a time where we are afforded the ability to have a far more conscious relationship, but only if we are ready and willing to become consciously aware ourselves. So, how do we know if we are in a relationship that is expansion-based? Well, it's pretty simple. What is the overall spiritual symbol regarding the heart or the heart chakra, anything to do with the heart? You always see these rays or beams of light radiating out in all directions from the heart. See, that's expansion. And when you are in a loving relationship, one that opens your heart, that is what happens. That's what you feel. You feel your heart opening and just bursting in all directions. That's expansion. That's the feeling. And that feeling does not dissipate. Soon I will have been married to my wife, my beautiful bride, for 9 years. We've been together for almost 14. And I can say with 100% honesty that that feeling in my heart is more powerful now than it's ever been. It has never weakened, not even for a moment. And this is the biggest sign that you are in an expansion-based relationship. Another great sign that you are in an expansion-based relationship is that you have the feeling, the experience of growing together. Both of you grow. Both of you change. And it isn't that you're doing it individually, even though you are doing it as individuals. It is still a sense of growth that takes place between you. You do it together as though you were one. And this is a reason why my wife and I contend that one of the most important things that you can have in a relationship is the same spiritual foundation. Because it is through the spiritual foundation or religion, whatever you have, that offers your sense of growth more than anything. And if you have that and it's the same and you are both active and enjoying it, it gives you the ability to grow and expand together instead of growing apart. You expand as one. Some indicators that you are in a healthy expansion-based relationship. You feel incredible joy. You feel light. You feel a sense of freedom. You feel as though you can be yourself on every level. and be understood and appreciated. You have a tendency to be adventurous, always together, trying new things, new foods, new drinks, going to new places, exploring new things, always enjoying your life together. Instead of feeling tied down or held back, you feel as the other person lifts you up. They support you, constantly encouraging you to be the best version of you can be and to attain all that you desire in life. Instead of feeling suffocated, you feel as though the other person is your breath. And of course, in order to enter into this type of relationship, you have no fear of being alone with yourself. You have already come far enough along that you are comfortable and happy with yourself, but you're ecstatic when you're together. You have no need for distraction or entertainment because your life is so full and the time you spend with that person is so incredibly precious that everything you do, you want to do fully engaged, mindfully, every moment. And there's absolutely no sense of desire for changing the other person. You absolutely love who they are, and you love everything about them. And most definitely, this relationship, this expansion-based relationship, is not based on anything to do with obligation, convenience, or dependence upon the other. It is about two people living fully engaged and sharing their life with one another. To know that you are entering into a relationship that is based in expansion is to enter that relationship because that person means more to you than the world. You know in your heart that you just cannot live another moment without them by your side. And everything you experience, all of the feelings that you have are far stronger in this type of relationship because it's both of you enjoying the same experiences. Both of you are expanding in the same way through those experiences. Here, you expand together. And this is the idea. A true relationship offers these feelings of closeness, an incredibly deep, loving connection, and unbreakable bonds. For me, because I have been through both, in no way can I experience the incredible duality and contrast of expansion and contraction more so than within a relationship. So this is the way that I view it. This is merely my opinion, so it is up to you to formulate your own. This isn't marital advice or anything, or relationship advice in that manner. If we look at this in three ways, if I'm not in a relationship yet, then I want to make damn sure when I enter into one that it is done so mindfully with the ability to create a conscious relationship that will allow us both to have a relationship that is based in expansion. If I'm currently dating or seriously with someone but haven't committed yet, I want to check and make sure that I don't have any of these feelings of contraction. I want to make sure that they don't have any of those feelings of expansion. To do that, you have to talk honestly and openly with one another from your hearts. You want to make sure there's no sense forging ahead mindlessly into a relationship that is going to be based in contraction. Then you can end it and look for a more positive relationship based in expansion. Now, I know from my own experience that it is far more challenging if you are already in a relationship. But if that relationship is unhealthy, if it's toxic or abusive or even dysfunctional, then you can take a look at what you want to do, what you have to do, because that is a contraction-based relationship, isn't it? So I may have to examine my relationship. I think it is healthy for anyone in a romantic relationship to run it through the filter of what I've just created here for you and to understand where you're both at. Now, this is both, right? It can't just be me feeling this way and them feeling some other way. We have to come together. It has to be unified. It has to be the same between us. And then we know if we're in a relationship that is really in a state of expansion, we're both growing positively and loving life, and our life is expanding in every direction. Awesome. Awesome. That's a good indication that you have something special. If it's lacking that, then it's up to each of us to decide if we want to continue merely existing in this sort of contraction relationship, or if we want to make a life choice, a life change, and seek out a different relationship, one that has the potential to be expansion-based. And while I made the decision that was most assuredly the right thing for me, each of you will have to do the same. You have to make your own choice. You have to decide what is most important in life for you. It's really quite incredible, though, when you enter into an expansion-based relationship. One that, yes, I'm going to go there. I'm going to use the term. One where you are with your soulmate. Your soulmate is your other half, the other half of your soul. And when that comes together, the entire world just seems to unfold before you. It opens up with opportunities and experiences that are absolutely astounding. And you get to share those experiences with the love of your life, and you know they're having the same incredible experiences and enjoying them just as deeply as you are. And it makes it so much more powerful because the two of you come together to have that sort of experience. There's nothing like it. It is an amazing thing if you get to experience that even once in your lifetime. But imagine if you had the ability to wake up every day and experience that. That's what your relationship can provide, if it is based in expansion, if you are living a fully engaged life. I hope each and every one of you gets to have that experience. Please remember to visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. There you can get an autographed copy of Expansion Mastery. You can also find all kinds of other goodies there. Go check it out. And please help us out with all the social media stuff as well. I do this podcast free. I don't have, as of this moment, I have no one that is sponsoring this program in any way, although there are some things in the works, so that may change shortly. But please like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff that helps us out and get this information out. Right now, people need this so badly. And we have an opportunity to share something of value, and it's so easy to do these days. So please feel free to share this in any social media you would like. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices, in your romantic relationship, and your life. Take care.